Get things going. We are going to be recording tonight's session. So if you do want to rewatch it, or for those of you that have been unable to join us, this will be available for use for you to view later. All right. Thank you for joining us tonight. This session is being recorded. I would like to introduce you're attending a Careers in Tech Summer Series session. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our speaker for tonight, Yuhong Liu. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly.
Correct, Yuhong Liu, but that's okay.
See, you should be able to go ahead and switch over to your screen sharing.
Okay, sure. So I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my slides now?
Yep.
Okay, great. So thank you everyone for joining today's talk. And it's my great pleasure to be here and provide this talk today on trust and privacy vulnerabilities in online social networks. And maybe a little bit about myself. I'm currently an associate professor at Santa Clara University from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. And a little bit about my research. So my research mainly centers around the trust, security, and privacy. And we also find the issues in different application domains and handling those. So particularly, we include the Internet of Things and blockchain, and also online social network. And for today's talk, we'll mainly focus on the trust and privacy issues or vulnerabilities in today's online social network. A rough, organization about today's talk. So first of all, I'd like to provide some high-level overview about the major challenges we are facing today's online social network. Then we will go through some example projects, very specific examples, so that we can showcase like how exactly can attackers launch attacks in online social networks, and how can we handle those attacks and protect people's trust, security, and privacy. So for the past 15 years, also, we have seen the exponential growth of the online social network usage, especially for the younger generation today. They're almost doing everything on online social networks. For example, they can, read news from Twitter. They can share those news with their friends and, even share their opinions and comments. They can also upload like pictures or videos about their daily lives and get those comments, likes from people they know or they don't know. And also they can go online just to provide their ratings and reviews for different businesses online. Like you go to a new restaurant and you can all share those experiences with strangers online. So on the right-hand side, you can see a screenshot, which was a survey result showing like the top 10 most used apps in your mobile phones for different generation. And you can see actually among the top 10 highly ranked apps, a lot of them are online social media apps. So you can see people are spending a lot of time on those. And at the bottom of this slide, I showed also some significant statistics from those most popular online social networks. So you can see people actually use them a lot. But we are also facing some challenges in those social networks. And one one challenge is that because the online social networks, they make it so easy and convenient for any individual users to just simply post any information or their comments, opinions about almost everything. So it becomes very easy for malicious users or dishonest users to manipulate the system as well, and raising a great concern about the trustworthiness of the online contents generated by individual users. For example, for on the left-hand side, you can see two photos taken for Prince Williams at the same event, just from different angles. And depending on which picture you choose, you can tell a very different story. And on the right-hand side, you can see that was like a deep fake video, which was get populated on online social networks right after the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war. And that is about the Ukrainian president, Zelensky, asking his soldiers to surrender. And of course, that was fake, but it got thousands and hundreds of thousands views. So because of that, I'd like to quote this saying from Andris Sepulveda, who was like a political hacker and successfully rigged the elections across multiple Latin American countries for over 8 years, just purely by spreading false information in online social networks. And he said that, when I realized that people believe what the internet says more than reality, I discovered that I had the power to make people believe almost anything. So you can see it's very dangerous. And then in online social networks, how do we actually influence people? There are many different ways we can do it. And a lot of strategies are just to increase your influential power. For example, by generating some dumb accounts, we call social bots. The users, they can generate like thousands or hundreds of thousands likes and share that with to support or promote the contents that they want to promote. And also, if you just simply Google buy followers, and you can see a lot of results coming out. So you can pay very little money, very cheap price, but you can get like hundreds of thousands of accounts, fake accounts that will be your followers on different social media platforms. And for taking the past few years as example, during the pandemic, we have seen so much misinformation, disinformation propagating in online social media. For example, like vaccination, COVID-19, and like wearing mask. All those different topics were, people holding different opinions. And some of the misinformation was very misleading. And a lot of people actually believed them. So here is something even more significant. That is, those accounts were actually launching coordinations among each other so that they can have higher impact. Here, I just listed some of the announcements made by Facebook, the one single social media platform. And you can see they have to frequently or periodically disable or remove some Facebook accounts, pages that were involved in those coordinated efforts. So you can see the significance of the problem. Then how can we handle those issues? To handle the misinfo or disinformation, there are many challenges. Here we list several major ones. The first one is there are so many different types of social media platforms, and each of them may have its own unique way of information sharing, their user interaction patterns, and it's hard for us to develop like a general solution that can fit all different types of platforms. And on the other hand, those misinformation and disinformation topics can be dynamically evolving. And even if we can identify one topic, a few weeks later or a few months later, those new topics which can probably can emerge. And then we have to find probably other ways to actually capture those newly emerging topics. And another one is it's hard to find out the ground truth. Basically, even given a piece of news or article, it's hard even for human being to tell whether it's fact-based or not. Because, for example, take the COVID-19 as example, because it's so new and not a lot of knowledge is novel, and we for normal people, we don't know. And that in this way, we can easily be manipulated or misled by some of the misinfo propagated. And also, even more complicated is people in real life, they may hold different political standing points, and that can also make them believe different things. So because of that, the facts are sometimes very hard to verify, or you can hardly persuade people holding different opinions. And that means we also have to involve intensive manual work to do the fact checking, finding the sources, and doing the labeling, which is very expensive and slow. And last but not least, this is not only not a challenge that only the technical effort can address. We probably need much broader collaborations, for example, with experts from different disciplines, for example, including computer science, technology, and also like psychology, sociology, or like policymakers, those different aspects. And also, it's not only the effort from academia, we have to collaborate with, for example, community leaders, fact-checking organizations, and social media platforms, and much more. So we have to work with all the forces or all the organizations to make things, to actually tackle this problem. And then let's focus on the technical, or like more from like computer science and engineering perspective. Right now, there are many different like AI or machine learning based solutions proposed to address the issue. Here is a very nice, layout from a survey paper, and it listed the major directions for, current efforts to detect misinformation online. Some of the efforts, they mainly focus on the content itself, analyzing the sentences and the contents, the topic of a particular social media post. And they can use, for example, clustering methods or supervised, unsupervised learning methods to check based on the natural language processing technique, NLP. And beyond that, sometimes it's also important that we pay attention to the context. For example, typically, if the propagation of a particular news is going like smoothly, gradually up, but the misinformation, because of the coordination efforts, we may see a sharp increase in the beginning of the propagation curve, and that may show some anomaly. So there are some efforts checking that direction as well. Then there's also efforts paying attention to the propagation. Basically, it's about the social network graph. We consider each user as a node, and between different user accounts, there may be some links indicating their interaction. For example, multiple accounts, if they often involve in the propagation of some similar contents, that means either those accounts share similar opinions, or there may be some coordinated accounts. And last but not least, there's also some efforts focusing on the early detection. Because think about if a misinformation has been propagated and covered millions of users already, it may be too late for us to, doing debunking efforts, because if people has already accept the wrong information at the early stage, then it's very difficult, much more difficult for us to persuade them to actually accept the correct knowledge or fact-based information. So that's why we have to, or try our best to be able to detect the misinfo in the early stage and stop the further propagation. But doing this is also very challenging because currently there's lack of data and lack of labels. So a lot of efforts need to be made towards those challenges. So that's a rough overview. And the next, I will talk about, I will talk about one of our projects. This is still an ongoing work. We in this project particularly focus on the Chinese American community. We try to alleviate the misinformation targeting this community. Why we are doing that? Because there are some unique characteristics from the social background. The Chinese American has become the fastest growing racial and ethnic group in the U.S. electorate, and also a majority of them are naturalized citizens, and many of whom may just or mainly rely on the Chinese forums or Chinese-based information to share and discuss news. So that makes them kind of far away from the mainstream media. And also from the political background, we know recent years there are some political tensions between the US and China, and also that makes this community a particular target. And last is about the technical background. Handling Chinese-based misinformation, meaning that we have to apply what has been developed already in the English-based social media, applying some of the technologies in the Chinese-based context. But because we have different language, different culture, and sometimes different social media platforms, those existing technologies may not work well in the Chinese tech background. And also another important thing is, although there has been some matured technologies for the English-based misinformation and disinformation detection, for the Chinese ones, there's so far no well-accepted vocabulary around like misinformation operations. So that's why there's an urgent need that we have to study the situations in the Chinese American community. And particularly for this project, we want to do mainly two things. First of all, we need to build a repository. And this repository need to be able to capture the misinformation targeting the Chinese American community from different social media platforms, number one. And number two, it has to be able to dynamically evolving when emerging new topics on misinformation, disinformation emerging, we have to be able to capture those new topics. And another one is we have to, in order to allow the repository to evolve, we have to develop some automatic tools or semi-automatic tools to facilitate the data collection as well as the early stage detection. So that's our goal. And we actually proposed this platform. We have built up a prototype for the system. And on the left-hand side, you can see we first need to develop different tools to collect information from different social media platforms, including Twitter, YouTube, which are also like the English language-based users, but also some like Chinese-specific platforms like WeChat or some like Chinese forums based in the US. And then we have to do some text pre-processing and the feature extraction, and then performing the misinformation detection. So of course, there are some other models that we need to develop so that we are able to quantitatively evaluate the likelihood of a particular post, how likely it will be misinfo or disinfo. And this is the technical architecture, and we have built up this prototype. And the major challenge next would be, how do we extract effective features to facilitate such detection? We mainly focus on two areas. One is the NLP based. We call them content features. And the other one is about those propagation patterns, how different social media accounts actually coordinate to launch the misinfo effort. So that's this high-level overview. And here is the screenshot for the system prototype. You can see on top, we have certain search criteria. Users can type in the keywords or based on the authors or the title and the published date to actually filter out certain types of posts. And then they can check what information has been loaded in our repository. And also based on our algorithm, their likelihood to be malicious or misinformation, and how is a particular post relevant to their search keywords, for example, like that. And you can see we have data from WeChat, from YouTube, and we also have Twitter. It's just not shown in this screenshot. So, well, this is the ongoing efforts, and we do have some features developed, but for the sake of time, I will not show those specific features. So this is about our efforts on detecting or handling the misinfo and disinfo. And on the other hand, one of the examples we have shown before is also the a different platform, online review system. For example, like on Amazon, on Google, or YouTube, TripAdvisor, when we try to check if a particular business is trustworthy or not, we often refer to the online ratings and the reviews to see if the particular business, for example, has got a high review or high rating score. And according to some survey, people show that about 79% of the shoppers say that they trust those online reviews as much as the personal recommendations. On the other hand, they also show that the product pages, if they have the customer reviews, that will tend to bring them 3.5 times more conversations than those product pages without those customer reviews. So you can see people are really involved or engaged in those online review systems. However, those ratings and reviews can also be manipulated. I had this example, very interesting. So it was like back almost 10 years, or more than 10 years ago. So there was there's a movie rating website called IMDb, and back then there was a movie called Resident Evil Afterlife. Right after it's released, its rating score on IMDb was very high. You can see it's about 8.5 out of 10. And with over 1,800 votings. But then after a month, which is after the promotion period, this movie rating actually dropped significantly to only 5.9. We found that this is because more real users actually started to provide their ratings and reviews, and then it actually corrected the results. It shows as an evidence that the movie ratings and reviews probably have been manipulated to promote the movie sales. Well, and if you are doing searching online, just say YouTube view or buy YouTube views, you can see there are actually many different companies. They are providing those fake views, fake ratings for very cheap price. Sometimes just about $10, you can get thousands of views. And this is just an example for YouTube. Actually, you can also buy likes for your Facebook accounts. You can buy a lot of ratings and views for all different social media platforms. So this has become an also interesting issue. And for this project that I'm about to talk about, we actually work from the attacker perspective. We are trying to find out a more effective attack method targeting on the online rating system. So before this project, actually, there were a lot of attack strategies proposed by existing studies. For example, some straightforward attacks include like self-promoting. For example, I generate an account. I just provide a high rating and reviews for myself. This is called self-boosting. And I may do bad mouthing as well. For example, there may be some competitors who are running similar businesses on the same platform. Then I just go to their accounts and provide, very bad reviews for their business, hoping that users will actually find my business have a higher rating and come to my business. And there's also kind of like a little more comprehensive attack behavior called alternative behavior. For example, we did discover previously, like eBay users, sellers, they tend to sell different products. And when they sell like products with lower prices, they may behave in a very honest way so that they can accumulate high rating reviews. But then they may do some bad behavior or cheating on those more expensive products to make profits. So that's so-called the alternative behavior. People behave good to accumulate rating and review, and then behave bad to cheat. So all of those attacks you can see are manipulating those ratings and review values. But we found there's also some research gap. Some of the aspects were not well studied by existing study. For example, most of the existing literature, they focus on, they assume if you got higher rating values and more rating, basically high rating volume, then that means it will increase your product sales. But is that really true? Also, they tend to treat all the products equally. They don't differentiate different types of products. And last but not least, they consider mainly the external manipulation power, but they seldom consider how will the market or the people actually react to those manipulations. What is the internal feedback? So having questions on those aspects, we actually come out with this research idea. Can we propose something like advanced attack by re-examining all those aspects? So, so in order to do this, the first step, we try to list the major factors we think will influence the product sales. So we have those mainly 4 factors, of course, including the rating value and the volume, which commonly believe will have an impact. But beyond those 2 major factors, we also consider the network effect and the herding effect. Network effect means if a product tend to have a greater user base, then that will make it highly visible and it will lead to more downloads and sales. While the herding effect means online consumers sometimes tend to follow others' opinions or comments, so they tend to follow others' purchase behavior as well. So if there is a product recently got significant increase in its sales, that may attract people's attention and they may want to try it out. So that's what we call the herding effect. And we also additionally consider products are different. So maybe we can consider products based on its quantile in the market, its ranking. If it's ranked like top or medium or bottom in the market, how will different manipulation strategy influence their sales? Are they the same or they are different? So those are all the questions we want to evaluate. Then we build up this quantile regression model without talking too much details about the mathematical part. I just basically mentioned, first of all, on the left-hand side of the equation, we have the download, which is in terms of a log, which simulates the product sales. But on the right-hand side, we have all those factors we mentioned, each as one specific variable. And we also mark them as, the alpha. Alpha basically means their quantile in the market, so that we are able to differentiate products at different rankings in the market. And then we collect some real data set from the markets and use those data set to train our regression model and learn those parameters and evaluate if a particular factor is effective or not. And the real data was collected from a CNET, which provide software downloads for users and ask users to provide their ratings and reviews for each software. And we focus on 4 different categories of software so that our results are not biased. And also we collect the weekly download data for over 26 weeks. So that gives us sufficient data to evaluate those parameters in a more reliable way. And then we study, different influential factors. Due to the time limit, I will just focus on the most interesting one. So in terms of the rating value, typically people consider if a product receives higher rating value, that will lead to more sales. But based on our study, it may not be true because each of the plot here represent one category of the software, and the x-axis represent the product's rank in the market from rank 1 all the way to rank 100 or 80, depending on the market, how many, the specific software market, how many software pieces are available. And then we provide manipulations. We increase the rating value for each of the product by 0.5 star. So if the product original rating was 1 star, which is marked as the red curve in those plots, then after manipulation, the rating score will be 1.5. Basically, that's the point. But actually, depending on the product's original rating value, they may react to our manipulation in a different way. So you can see if the product original rating value was like very low, 1 star or 2 stars, which is shown in green, our manipulation will not lead to increase of their product sales, but rather leads to even lower sales. But if the product rating value was originally higher, like 3 star, like a 4 star or 4.5 star, then if we increase their rating value, that will lead to positive product sales. We also try to analyze the reason. A potential reason for that would be like nowadays, people are already aware of the product rating manipulations. So if they have observed a product with like a constant or most of the time the low rating value, but suddenly the rating value goes up, then that may lead to some suspicious behaviors. So people may not be easily misled by those manipulations. But if the product was originally getting very high rating values, then an increase of their rating value probably will attract more users. So that's a rating value thing. Then we found this very interesting phenomenon. So we randomly pick up a product in the market, and we actually observe this phenomenon on different products across the market. So it's not just an accident. So you can see the product original rank in the market was like 47, which was not that high. Then what we did was we provide some money or dishonest ratings trying to boost the rating value. And then we just do that in the first week. So the next week, you can see the rank of the product goes up, which is quite reasonable. But actually after then, we stopped the manipulation. That means no further dishonest ratings were provided. However, you can see the rank of the software did not just stop there. For the consecutive several weeks, probably 10 weeks later, the rank of the product continues increase until it stays at rank 28. So if you compare the rank increase improvement, let's say, caused by our manipulation directly versus that, afterwards rank improvement, the later ones actually improved even more. Why is that? We consider this is a very interesting, we call it internal self-exciting power. That is the market's reaction to the manipulation. So for example, we pushed it up and then people find, oh, there's a product whose rank actually has quickly improved. So they may tend to be, interested in trying out And also with the increasing number of user sales and this product, which was mentioned like the network effect, will also lead to increases in further user bases. So that is the reason behind this continuous improving rank. Then we have this, observations. First of all, external manipulations will make a difference. The rating value and volume change will lead to different product sales. And then because of those external manipulation, it will also cause internal consecutive self-exciting power that will further push the product sales. So based on that, we want to think about, can we propose some interesting attack? And we have two major components. The first one is we need to identify the optimal rating value and volume for each particular product. The second one would be, how can we take advantage of this internal self-excitation power? And there's some mathematical equations, derived from our previous rating value and volume. So I will not talk about this in a very detailed way, just high-levelly say, based on the original rating value and volume of a particular product, we have to provide a customized rating value and volume so that we can lead to positive increase of the sales, not negative ones. So that's the rating value and volume manipulation. But on the other hand, we also developed this so-called iterative manipulation strategy. First of all, for week one, for a given product, we will just assume we have 100 unfair ratings, and we don't provide all those 100 ratings at once. First, we provide part of the unfair ratings, and that will lead to some improve of the product sales for several weeks. Then if for week 6, we observe no further rank improvement, we'll provide the second set of unfair ratings. And then we stop there, just let the internal market excitation power to further push the product ranks until it stops again. Then we provide the third set of ratings. So using this iterative way, we actually take advantage of this internal excitation power. And then we consider probably we can save some manipulation power and improve the ranks or the product sales even further. So then we actually try some of the strategies on all of products. And here are the results. On 4 different markets, you can see if we have the black dots, that indicates our strategy compared with the traditional strategy. Whenever I have 100 unfair ratings, I just provided them all at once. So we compare those 2 strategies, and the black dots means for those products, our iterative strategy works better. And for some other, like the ones marked in red, that means the original strategy works better. So if you compared all those 4 markets, you can see for the product ranked in the middle of the market, you can observe more black dots. That means our proposed new strategy will work particularly well for those middle ranked products. So that's a very interesting observation. Some key takeaways for this is that first of all, we cannot just simply apply the same attack strategy for all the products. It's probably more effective if we can customize the attacks based on the product's original rating values and the volume. And also the second one is the human factor can play a very important role. The human factor is really the network effect and the herding effect we mentioned before. So that's this attack one. So so far, everything is about whether the information provided is fake or real. The next one, on the other hand, we do have the privacy aspect. So for example, we know social networks, now they hold so much information about ourselves. For example, we can do likes, we can talk to connect with different friends, And we may also store our personal identifiable information like our name, our education background, home address, telephone number, all those information in those online social media platforms. And how do those platforms actually store our data? Do they provide any protections or enough protections? That could be one concern that will, raise one privacy concern. But also, on the other hand, those social media platforms, they're not just holding your data. They also want to take advantage or use those data to improve, for example, user experience or making more profits. So nowadays, it's very popular for third parties to provide machine learning as a service, like the third party, like Amazon AWS or IBM Cloud or Google Cloud, etc. Those cloud services, they may help run the expensive machine learning models on the different platforms data and provide the feedback to the clients who may need those results. But through the process, you can see the data may be outsourced to third party. And can the user privacy be protected? So all those aspects will actually cause people's concerns about their own privacy. And there are also a lot of efforts from different angles trying to address the issue. So today we will just mention one example project that we have done. Back to the year 2017, there was a Facebook privacy leakage called Cambridge Analytica. This company actually was the one that caused this leakage. It actually influenced up to 87 million people based on the estimation. The story was like that. That company, they were trying to initially just collect some information survey results from selected users. And those initial users were actually volunteering to provide their information. So that's totally fine. But the problem is that after getting the initial seed users, they actually were able to, based on those user information and search on Facebook, to actually grab or reach out to their friends, and then even their friends' friends and multiple hub friends information, personal identifiable information. And that was the problem, leading to, millions of people influenced by this incident. And the problem is the online social network platforms, they want to have the users actively engaged. So they want to actually encourage people to get connected or reveal certain type of user information. But some of the information, without carefully checking, probably will lead to further privacy leakage. We actually did a study on the friend search engine, which was an app provided by Facebook, Twitter, and some other platforms. So what they were doing was, like, for example, if I was on Facebook, I just randomly click a user account. I was not a friend of this user, but just clicking this user's friends page or tab, I was able to find a list of many friends of from this user, which suppose I should not be able to see. So that could potentially lead to the user's friendship privacy leakage. So that actually inspires us to do this work. We want to also, from attacker perspective, launch an example attack to see if we are able to find more users' friends than the system would like us to see. A little bit about the existing literature, what has been done before our work. So after Facebook released those friend search engine, they actually initially just release all the friends. But of course, there are users who don't want to share all of their friends' info. So then Facebook developed certain strategy. For example, pick up K friends to display. But those K friends were selected in a random way. That means if the attacker side, they just register 2 different accounts, each one launch a query, and by launching 2 different independent queries, the system will randomly choose K friends for each query. And there's a high chance that there will be more than K friends released to those malicious accounts. So then Facebook developed something to fix the issue by providing a fixed K friends. And how do they choose that? They choose the top K friends who are most active or most influential. So in this way, no matter who come to launch the query, only those top K friends will be released. This seems to address the issue, but one of our prior work found out it may also be vulnerable to certain attack, which we call the mutual effect. For example, in this case, we assume each user would be willing to release like 3 of their friends, and the attack malicious one user may launch a query, say about user A, then user C, D, E, who are most influential friends of user A, will be released. So far, everything's fine, no problem. But then if the requester launch a query about user B, user B has the top 2 friends as X and F. So far, it's fine. But the next most influential friend of user B is user A. So in this case, the system won't check back about whether user A can be released. The system will just release A as a friend of B. But if we check user A, now 4 friends of user A will be released, which will violate the privacy of user A. So that is what we call the mutual effect. The reason behind that is the friendship is not really one person's info. It's about the connection between 2 users. So only confirming it from one user side will not be sufficient. That's why one of our prior work, we actually provide a defense solution. So we will keep track of the mutual effect and make sure both sides are able to release this friendship relation. Then we will release it. And this solution actually works very effectively against any individual malicious requester. But the problem is malicious requesters, they can arbitrarily register some multiple accounts and using those accounts to launch independent queries. Then will the system be able to further defend the user privacy? That becomes an issue. And that's the attack goal for this work. We want to see if we are able to use multiple malicious accounts in a coordinated way to query the system. Are we able to discover more friendship relation than the system would like us to see? So that's the goal. And in order to do that, we first run a very simple toy example. We assume there is a social clique. That means, for example, in this example, we have 6 users, and each of them is also the friend of the other 5 users. Then we will try to see if we are able to violate user privacy by using multiple malicious requester accounts. So the first example, we set K as 2. And we want to see if we are able to violate the privacy of node 3. And in this case, we use the each circle to represent one user, and the size of the circle basically represent the influence of the user. So if the circle is larger, that means the user is more influential, and this user tend to be released first. So in this case, we have one malicious requester. We first launch query about N3. Then the system will release N1 and N2 because those are the top 2 influential friends. Then we have another malicious requester come in. Now we get to know N1 and N2 are also users in the system. So we can launch a query about user 1. And the system will release user 2 and 3 as the top 2 friends because they're the most influential friends of user 1. So in this case, by having 2 independent requests, the malicious user were not able to find additional friends of user 3. So the violation failed. And even if we have the third requester just launch a query about user 2, only user 1 and 3 will be released because those are the top 2 influential friends. So within those 3 users, we are not able to violate their privacy. But if we change the target to be node 4, in this case, we still set k equal to 2. Then things may change. We first launch a query about node 4. Then the system will release N1 and N2. That's no problem. Now we know 2 additional nodes, N1 and N2 in the system. So the next malicious requester, we can launch a query about user 1. And user 2 and 3 will be released as the top 2 influential friends. But now, if this particular requester launch a query about node 4, because N1 has already reached its the maximum number of friends, k equal to 2. In this case, the system will not release N1 as a friend for N4. Then guess what? The system will release node 2 and node 3 as the 2 influential friends of N4. But now with the 2 malicious requester, if they share their information, they will learn 3 friendship of node 4. So node 4's privacy will be violated. And that's how we can make a successful violation. And inspired by this, we actually made such observation. If we set k as the maximum number of friends, then for the top k+1 nodes in a social clique, we probably cannot directly violate their privacy. But for all other nodes, like from node 4, 5, 6, and all other nodes, we can violate their privacy by so-called occupying at least one of its top friends. And here is the general case. Assume k equals to 4. Originally, we have x, query x, then all those 4 nodes will be released. And y is one of the top 4 friends. But if we want to violate x privacy, what we need to do is just have another malicious requester account, query y first. And if x is not in the top 4 friends of y, then y will be occupied. So the system can no longer release y's friends. And then if this second malicious requester launch a query about user x, then another additional friend will be released. So that's the mechanism. And based on this, we were able to propose an attack in a general network, which is a high-levelly talk about this attack. So we set k equal to 3 as an example, and user 0 is a target user we want to violate privacy. If we directly query user 0, user 1, 2, 3 will be released as a top 3. But then if we have the second requester launch a query about user 3 first, because user 3's top 3 friends does not include user 0. In this case, we are able to occupy user 3. And then if we launch query about user 0 again, another friend will be released. So that's in the general network how this attack mechanism will work. And we try this, applying this strategy in all the nodes in the network. And here's the result. You can see the blue circles represent all the nodes. And the right star means the number of users we are able to violate privacy. So you can see most of the cases, those 2 symbols are overlapping. That means we are able to compromise almost all the users and successfully. But there are some places you can see the blue circle is on top and the red one is below that. That means we cannot compromise all. There are certain number of users we cannot compromise. So that's this attack. And the key takeaway about this one is privacy protection is challenging, but your privacy is not only in your hands. Sometimes it's also in the hands of your friends. So when you connect with someone, try to be a little bit more careful. Okay, so with that being said, this is all for today's talk. And I want to conclude that the online social networks are facing various security, trust, and privacy challenges. And there's fast evolving arm races between the attacks and the defense. And because of this, it requires a continuous future researches to be done and address the issues. And that's all for today's talk. And here's my contact info. And I'm open to questions.
I have a question.
Yep.
So how identity management or digital identity or even open AI new project about world identity can help solve these problems?
Are you talking about the distributed identity management or more like a traditional centralized way of managing them?
Both, or even the world identity that the CEO of Open AI announced last week.
Mm.
Universal digital identity for everybody. How this kind of digital identity, world identity, distributed, centralized, doesn't matter, can help mitigate all of these attacks or solve these problems.
Are you talking about solving the privacy issues or talking about the misinfo and the disinfo issue?
Both.
Both. Okay, let me talk about them one by one. So first of all, for misinfo and disinfo, this unique identity management issue probably can play a role. So for example, the malicious users, they cannot arbitrarily register a big number of malicious accounts. And in this way, one user can only play by using his own account, right? So that way, if a malicious information or misinformation has been distributed, then first of all, we may be able to trace back to the particular user making those, propagating those info. And second, because that's just one user, and without having thousands or hundreds of thousands of accounts coordinating together, it will be difficult for this particular user to make an influence. So that's helpful. However, nowadays, there are also some, countries, the state effort supporting those attacks. So they may be willing to, provide a lot of resources to actually support those attacks and making them very difficult to be blocked completely. So that would still be an issue. Then in terms of the privacy, I would say by having a universal ID, it would help, let's say this way. If we are able to separate those IDs from the users' online behaviors, and for random users, so for a regular user, it's hard for them to actually tell the real identity of a particular account. But again, like the friendship relationship, for example, as long as you are acting on certain platforms, your behavior will leave traces on those platforms. So only having ID management may not be able to fully address the issue. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you, because even if you know the identity of the person who created the website, you don't know whether he or she is a malicious user or a good user. You don't know. How you
Right.
can, you need a detective to do this. Machine learning to detect if this guy is a good guy or bad guy.
It's very challenging.
Very challenging. I agree with you. It's not easy, solvable.
So just
It's
as
really tackling a hard problem.
So just as a piece of housekeeping for tonight's talk, if you are an IEEE member and are attending this session, please send IEEE in the chat. But so at this point, I'll go ahead and open it back up for any other questions that are out there.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hey, Doug Liu. This is live from North Jersey. and very, very interesting talk. I mean, I missed a part of it and hope I can catch up in the recording. Yeah, I have one question. You described some method of hiking recommendation system, right? I mean, you gave the example
Yeah,
of the
like
software. Mhm.
right. It's not exactly recommendation system. It's about rating or review system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more accurate. So in the review or rating system, and it sounds like you were manipulating, trying to manipulate real rating. My question is, how do you do it ethnically?
Yeah.
After you have done, you cancel all your rating, or how have you tried to done it ethnically? If not, how do you think you can actually do it ethnically as a ethnic hacker type of
Right.
practice? Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much for the question. It's a great question. So we actually didn't do it in the real system to make it ethical. So what we did was you can see we tried through like simulation ways. So what we have done, if I can go back, sorry, let me go back to the slide. We were able to collect some real data from the market. And what we did was we built a model, a regression model. So what we have is those, each coefficient is in front of the key influential factor. And then we are trying to estimate the coefficients for each influential factor based on the real data. So basically we are training our model. And after, with the real data trained the model, and what we do is we will just change the value of the particular influential value factor. And then using the same coefficients, we will estimate how will that lead to the download changes. So that's the simulation. We didn't really manipulate the system.
Okay, that's much more clear. But simultaneously, have you verified your regression model against whatever your data source that see how, I mean, without your manipulation, how your model follow the real system, in the same time frame?
Yes, so this is a very important issue, but it's also challenging. We were able to kind of simulate the real system at our maximum capacity, but we cannot address the issue. Like, for example, the real-time user feedback. Like after the first week, say if we provide the ratings manipulations in the first week, in the second week, will user actually the real users see the rating results and change their behavior? We cannot do it in a, how to say this, in a real-time way. But right, one potential thing that we can utilize is probably through some cross-sourcing platforms like MTurk, for example, right? We can provide those ratings and reviews, but ask the crowd to provide how likely will they purchase, or less likely will they purchase. That's probably a little better way to actually more accurately estimate the user's behavior.
So who can provide those indication whether they're going to buy or not? You said I'm Turk or something.
Turk. Yeah, that's just one platform that we can do crowdsourcing. For example, you can launch like a call for participation by providing some incentives. You are able to recruit some real users that can help you evaluate the system.
Yeah. So what my point is, your results are very impressive, but the point is how good your model is. I think that's probably your result is based on your model. If your model very close to reality, your result probably groundbreaking. If your model are somehow, somewhat become far away, a little bit further away from the reality. I mean, what I was trying to say there, if there's some cross validation, in the process, that might be great because, you know, I mean, you mentioned COVID, thinking about this way. I mean, you know, everybody probably early on trying to catch where COVID is going. I mean, if based on certain models, certain policy are designed, I mean, they always need to cross validation so that, you know, so that the policy can be, the result of policy can be really validated in a sense, right?
Right. Yeah, I fully agree. So take the COVID as example, right? So using only one detection tool may not be sufficient. So like a ground truth, let's say ground truth labeling or ground truth obtaining ground truth, let's say, is very challenging. It's hard to do it large scale. And so there could be some different tools, for example, developed to actually do the simulation or estimation at the same time, and then see if we can, you know, reach some common agreement. That would be like a very nice way to do the cross validation. In this work, what we some of the observations we did see, like it's consistent with some other existing literature. But for some of our observations, we didn't see other works were doing that. So we were not able to do a cross validation. But what we did was, rather than just doing it in one category of the market, we actually do it from different categories of the market. And our, you know, results kind of consistent across different market. That gives us some confidence, some more confidence about the model.
So you're saying in most market, people are behaving in a similar way, right? It's
yeah, across different software, market, right?
Software, okay.
Yeah. I think in the chat window there's oh.
Yeah, I know he had raised his hand, but it looks like he has left.
Oh, probably.
Oh, no, he's still here. Let me, bear with me 1 second.
Well, my initial question doesn't seem as refined at this moment, but I was wondering what your what this system does in reference to like the fact-checking teams that we have on posts and everything to do with I noticed you were specifically looking at software. So would we have like software malware checking teams on this to be able to back everything up, or is this just a machine learning regression model?
Oh, you mean for this for this work, right? The review, the for the current slides, this work, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Malware oh, okay. So when you say malware detection, you mean the first category of market, or you mean like malware detection?
I mean across the board, because all of these things have the potential to be malware. And I'm a cybersecurity professional, student at Colorado Technical University, and this was very interesting to me to see the fact-checking option applied to software and different markets. So that's very, I didn't even think it was possible. So kudos to you for coming up with that and following that route. But it, would a kind of like we have with open source, with like a kind of a verification system, would that be something like this that we would do with the open market, or like they have on the fact checking teams with news articles on Facebook and so on and so forth?
So first of all, for the online review systems, I believe they have already taken some certain steps. For example, Amazon, they have blocked certain, review accounts because they provide probably like dishonest reviews. But to be honest, if you are using machine learning, like those automatic tools, there's always a high chance we can make mistakes. For example, I have like a real world example. One of my friends, he was like not really providing all those ratings and reviews for most of the time. But one time he went to a restaurant, he was so impressed. So he actually come back home and wrote a very nice review, very long, very detailed way, and posted on I think on Yelp. But his review was like blocked, and the feedback was, this is a fake review. So you see the system, because of his behavior pattern, used to be not providing reviews, and suddenly there's a long review made, and the system believed that's abnormal. So my point is using automatic tools that can help, and typically they can do it similar like fact checking. Not really exactly like fact checking, but like in the disinfo, misinfo detection methods, they also observe like user account behavior history, right? If you observe some new pattern or different patterns, they tend to believe that there's something wrong. Or they may analyze the content, like your rating and review, if there's certain, similarity to those automatically generated languages. But I think with today's like ChatGPT, the large language models, the NLP analysis to detect like fake reviews written by robots probably will be more difficult. And those are the automatic tools, but they often make mistakes. So one thing, at least for now, cannot be missing is the manual checking. We may have to have some manual involvement to check those ratings and reviews more carefully. And also for the fact checking things, they also involve the manual people, but they have to be certain experts. They have to have the background knowledge so that they can identify if a particular piece of news or a tweet or some other social media posts are authentic or not. That's basically my comments, or like what I can think of right now. Hopefully that answers your question.
Somewhat, yes. Obviously, there's more in my head, but I don't. Going through that would not be productive.
Yeah, so no problem. We can also feel free to reach out to me offline. We can discuss more. Yeah, within limited time, we may not be able to touch every single point of the problem. It's a very complex one.
I think we have time for one more question. So if there is, we do have time for one more question. If anyone else that's still here has a question.
Which one of those social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, Skype, all of those, which one is more secure?
I'm not making like direct judgment on which one is more secure. I would say they all try their best efforts to protect the system. But the thing is, if you are becoming the most popular platforms, you will attract more attacks. And there's like always arm race. It's not like this will be a perfect system. No one can break it. Like if you are getting popular, there will be more attention and more attacks launched against your system. and you have to spend more, resources on protecting your system. So like there's no absolutely secured system at all, I would say.
Zero security.
Zero.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I think, Michael, you are on mute.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight. Thank you to our speaker for a very interesting topic. For those of you that are still here, we do have a session coming up on August 17th, and then one final one that will happen on August 31st. So again, thank you to everyone for attending tonight. Have a good night. And I think we're going to call it a night.
Thank you.